Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3335. Today's date is 17th of February 2025. It's been almost like a night at 10:15 p.m. Okay, so there is some sort of thing I wanted to talk in this artifact. Okay, yeah. By the way, it's been almost like a year that I haven't been really record artifact. What do you mean by that? You just record yesterday's, na? No, no. Okay. Yeah. What do you mean by that, na? Ki usually I started this kind of like a something self-talk artifact episode is because of kind of like a something is this thing for upgrading myself, to improve myself, to understand myself. Okay, yeah. And yeah, I am kind of like a something somewhat little bit of improving, understanding about things, my thought process and everything. Yeah, that is really good. Yeah, I'm seeing some sort of changes inside of me, which is really good. Yeah, but kind of like a something like a year ago. Sorry, year ago, I was kind of like a something like year ago, not year ago. Okay, yeah, almost like a maybe yeah, a year ago, I started asking questions to myself. What kind of question? A question means like a random questions. Okay, what do you want in your life? Something thoughtful, something creative, something whatever it is. Okay, I was asking bunch of questions to myself. Okay, yeah. So basically, this thing when I started recording Artifact, I usually talk about what exactly happened in my day and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. Somewhat like while I was kind of like a saying such thing, it kind of like a became really boring because like there is nothing really happen every day. Okay, yeah, like every day is kind of like a feel really normal. So my artifact is not really that feel little bit of interesting. So what I was kind of like doing, I'm asking questions to myself. Okay, yeah, in the artifact. And while I was kind of like started doing this thing, I was kind of like suddenly improve. Like I love recording artifact. Like I love talking regarding about some sort of topic and something like that. And it felt really good. It felt really good. Okay, yeah. Then I was doing this thing like then what exactly happened that then I just ask questions. Okay, I'm not gonna kind of like a talking about what exactly happened in my life, nothing really at all. I'm just asking questions to myself and giving the answer. Okay, yeah. Now what exactly happened that ki like basically almost like not like like a couple of days ago I was kind of like uploading my artifact on the YouTube platform. Why I decided to upload those artifact on YouTube platform is like that na ki right now I kind of like actually decided to read. What's the read? Read means like that ki in 2025 I set up some sort of resolution that ki I should supposed to be start doing reading. Okay, yeah, because like I haven't really read any of those books. I haven't really read anything at all besides textbooks. I read nothing. Okay, yeah. But in 2025, I decided that I should supposed to start reading something. Okay, yeah. So what exactly stuff should I supposed to read? Like there are so many books are available to read, but I decided that instead of that, I have so much data like my artifact episode. I'm being actually recording such thing for almost like a 10 year. So what if I just kind of like assembly read those? How do I supposed to read those? It's a kind of like assembly audio show, na? It's an audio file. So what I did is that I just kind of like assembly I just have to convert that audio file into text file, and after that text I just have to print that somewhere like a Google Doc, and I just have to read that. It's a kind of like assembly very easy because of the AI right now is available. So yeah, I could do that. So how do I supposed to kind of like assembly transcribe this audio into text? Like there are so many AI softwares are available, yeah, but they are paid. Okay, yeah, they are not kind of like a free, and they are also not really accurate. And as also is this thing, I am recording such an artifact for almost like a 10 year, so the quality is a kind of like a little bit lost. And as also while I was recording, I was kind of like a talking in my original language, Marathi language. So most of the audio encoder are not meant to be kind of like a familiarized with the audio, Marathi audio text, Marathi audio. So it's been kind of like a something very fucked up thing. Okay, yeah. So what I kind of like decided that ki YouTube is the only way that kind of like a something provide us such a really good content, really good kind of like a subtitles. What do you mean by that? So when I upload my artifact on the YouTube platform, okay, yeah, like basically YouTube is kind of like creating auto generated text, whatever the language that you have, okay, yeah, and it's very precise, it's very accurate. So it's a kind of like a simply convert that audio into text document. I just have to copy that subtitle, put into the chat GPT, just kind of like a somebody put the emoji, arrange the subtitle, correct the grammar and things like that. And after everything, I just paste that data into the Google Docs. And after I put all those datas, all those kind of like artifact in text format, it became some sort of book, okay, yeah. So I have almost like a four books are available, four no, five books are available, okay, like five edition 1 2 3 4 5, okay, yeah. And basically at the beginning of this year I was started reading those books, okay, yeah. So while I was like, it's kind of like a somebody giving me a two advantage. First advantage is that ki I was started reading, okay, so that is really good. Another thing is that ki I just have to find out about what is actually my thought process 10 year ago, and what is actually like, I just have to understand my reflection, what I was thinking about that time, and something like that, okay, yeah. So then I realized that ki while I was kind of like something making such a thing, I was realized that ki this is also really essential, okay, yeah, like not only just a question, but as also is this thing, whatever the thing is actually happened inside of my life, I just have to talk in this artifact, because it's somewhat kind of like somebody giving me a little bit of something really control. Yeah, like when I was kind of like something asking questions to myself, it's a kind of like something is this thing that key, whatever the question depend, I just talk, okay, yeah. But I don't know, I just need some sort of control in my life. And I think that ki artifact is a kind of like such a way that it might kind of like giving me little bit of control regarding about my decisions and what is at least this thing. So since today I decided that ki I'm gonna ask questions, yeah, definitely, yeah, I've loved asking questions to myself, but as also is this thing, I also gonna talk about kind of like what is actually happening in my life or today, all right, yeah. So what is actually happened today? Okay, so today wake up at almost like a 7:30, sorry 8 a.m. Okay, yeah, and usually I kind of like decided to read my book, but unfortunately I just kind of like a record artifact, yeah, because yesterday I haven't really record artifact. So today I was kind of like a decided to record artifact, okay. I asked questions, then basically what exactly happened that key, then there is some sort of stuff to do at home, like mopping the floor and stuff like that, okay, yeah. Then I started doing my work, okay, yeah. Today I have to design today I have to design. I started doing this thing, done that design, done the reels and everything is done. And then yeah, today I masturbate, which is really not that good, because the last time I masturbate almost like 2 days ago. So I really decided to take a gap of almost like a 5 days, but today I'm not really like I didn't really control myself, and that is really fucked up thing happened. I make sure that ki, this will not gonna happen again, and I have to make sure that ki, I just have to make the gap between one masturbation to another at least 5 days of gap. So I'm gonna promise. Okay, yeah. Okay, then I'm kind of like a simply making my book like through the chat GPT, and kind of like a simply subtitles and everything. Like I uploaded so many artifacts on the YouTube platform. Like I'm gonna not I'm not gonna talk about this kind of like a books and things like again and again. It's kind of like a so many big things, but I'm kind of like writing my book through the chat GPT, okay, yeah. And then I eat my dinner, recording artifact. Nothing will happen special. Okay, what's the today's plan? Today's nothing really special by the way. First thing is that ki, today I'm gonna read, okay, yeah. Like since I wake up, I just have to kind of like a something brush my teeth and everything, and I just have to start doing reading, okay, yeah. I have to make sure that I have to read at least an hour. Okay, like basically is this thing I have to read an hour non-stop. Okay, yeah, this kind of like something a habit that I should supposed to do it. Okay, yeah, then after that do your work. Okay, yeah, but read the thing first at least an hour, which is really essential. So I'm gonna read tomorrow. Okay, and then I will start doing designing and stuff like that. All right. So everything is good. Now let's jump to questions. All right, let's go. All right, yeah. Question is, how does the concept of time shape the human understanding of existence? Okay, yeah, that is really good question. Okay, yeah. What is at least this question? Okay, yeah. A couple of days ago, I was kind of like a something watching the Demons of Leonardo. It's a web series, by the way. This web series is kind of like a something based on Leonardo da Vinci. Okay, if you don't really know who is that person, like he's the person who painted the Mona Lisa painting, the world famous Mona Lisa painting. And he is not just a painter, by the way. He is like a master of multiple things. While I was watching that particular show, I was like a bitterly influenced by the thought process of Leonardo and how does he think. And I wanted to think like him. So basically, is this thing that I went to the chat GPT and kind of like a simply kind I went to the chat GPT and says that he asked me such a question so that I would think like Leonardo da Vinci. Okay, yeah. So this is one of those questions. The question says, how does the concept of time shape the human understanding of existence? Okay, yeah, that's somewhat kind of like a something very, I don't know, yeah, like a difficult. No, not that difficult, but little bit something need to understand. What is exactly that? Okay, so what is exactly time? Yeah, like basically is this thing that key. What is exactly a time? Which is like a somewhat na kind of like a something. If you ask this question very deeply in your thought, you just don't really knew it. Okay, what don't really knew it means like that na ki. Okay, yeah. So like basically, let me tell you one thing. If I wanted to survive, what kind of like a stuff do I need? Food, right? Yeah, a shelter, a cloth might be. Yeah, these are kind of like it's only very essential thing for survive. Yeah. When did time became kind of like a some very essential thing? Is because of that key like basically at the beginning time was like a nothing really at all. Like basically time is always be there. Like if you gone through very different perspective of the manner like from big bang theory and everything time is always be there. Okay, but we don't really understand the time. Okay, yeah, we just kind of like understand things happen. What's the things happen? Like sunrise happened, sunset happened, day happened, night happened, like things happen after that. We don't really know what exactly is this thing, but we know that ki every morning sun is gonna rise, every night sun is gonna set. It's it's something like a cycle. Okay, day and night cycle. We kind of like a familiarize that thing when we are kind of like a something very early stage of the human, but we don't really understand the time. Okay, yeah, but somewhat our activities and our things are somewhat related with our time. We don't really knew it, but activities how like a there is a guy who born at this date, not date but the born, the death, a kind of like a some sort of thing is actually happened. And if I wanted to mention when that thing happened, we don't really have any kind of like a stuff to say. We say that ki this thing is actually happened on that day or this day, or like basically like just removing the time. And like just example is this thing, the early humans, if they wanted to talk to each other regarding about that key flood is actually happened. Okay, yeah. So how they mention that flood is happened, when that happened, okay, this happened, that happened, they mention that key, like basically there are so much rain is happened and then flood is happened. Okay, yeah. But okay, yeah, if you don't really understand this perspective now, example, okay, yeah, 4 months ago I had my birthday. Yeah. Why 4 months ago? Because I knew that, because 4 months ago, like basically there are months. Okay, yeah, like basically it's 2 February, January, then December, then November, and then October. Yeah, 5 months ago. 5 months ago, I had an birthday. So basically, this thing 5 months ago, this is the month is a kind of like a something represent some sort of time is actually happened. Okay, yeah. uh, in early stage of human, how they mention this thing, like that 5 months ago I was born. They mention that key, like at that time there is nothing really at all. No? The month is not even exist. The year is not even exist. They say that key they just born at couple of times ago. That's it. Okay, yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that key at the early stage of the humans, we don't really require any kind of like a time, because it's not really essential. Okay, yeah. But it's just like that ki when we want to kind of like a say some sort of thing that ki things happen, we have to kind of like a something understand when that thing happened. Like what is actually kind of like a stuff, like we should supposed to be put some sort of name that when that thing happened, so that we would memorize that thing and we would tell that story to the our next generation, that this happened on that particular day or something like that. So like basically at the early humans, they really required some sort of time, but they don't really knew how to do that time, because it's a kind of like a something that they don't really knew it. Okay, and time is a kind of like a something is this thing that ki at the early humans don't really understand what exactly is this thing. And suddenly they started realizing that ki they really needed that kind of like a some sort of stuff to remember, and some sort of stuff that ki when that stuff happened. So they are bitterly confused that how do we supposed to kind of like a something memorize that particular event. Okay, yeah. So they are kind of like a something mention that ki like basically mention with a particular event. Like event means like that ki like amavas ki raat, or basically at darkness or full moon, probably. Okay, yeah. और मे बी काइंड ऑफ लाइक रेन, क्योंकि बारिश में कब कब हुआ था, लाइक इट्स सम ऑफ द थिंग्स. ओके, या. सो we are started kind of like a remember event with another event. Okay, yeah. Like basically we just remember that कि हाँ ये बंदा, like I just born at Diwali, or I just born at kind of like a something holy, or I was kind of like a born in between kind of like a something Christmas or something like that. So we would kind of like a simply memorize some sort of event regarding about other events. Okay, yeah. But it's not really precise, because somewhat kind of like a things, the information that we have is a kind of like a something very critical, and in that particular critical information we really require a kind of like a something very stagnant day or time to memorize that. Okay, yeah. So at the early humans, they are kind of like a something consider a time with number. Okay, yeah. Like at that time, they kind of like a somebody invented a number, but it's just like that they don't really invent the number the way that we think it is. Means like that ki right now we mention as a number means 1 2 3 4 5. Yeah. But at that time they were kind of like a something measure this particular event with particular some sort of stone or shadow of the things. What do you mean by that? So what is actually is this thing? They kind of like a put the stick into the floor, and they are kind of like a something trying to figure it out the shadow where it went. Okay, yeah, like from sunrise to sunset. So they kind of like a follow a particular kind of like a shape. Like a this is kind of like a something shape is actually happened. Means like that shadow, the tip of the tip of the shadow, the tip of means like that, no, the stick, and the tip of that stick creates some sort of shadows in the floor. So basically they are kind of like a creating particular pattern into it. Okay, yeah. And they are trying to figure it out that that pattern is changed little by little. Okay, yeah, like basically little by little means like that the shape is kind of like a somebody change. They are kind of like a somebody early humans are observing that thing, and they figure it out that this pattern is change every single day. Like it's a very slightly, but it change. They kind of like understand that somewhat kind of like a somebody moving, because at the early stage of the humans we realize that we are the center of the universe, and this is the kind of like a flat earth, and this is the moon and sun are revolve around us. Okay, yeah, in a very straight path. But when we see the shadow, we realize that they are not kind of like a something moving exactly in a straight path. They have kind of like some sort of direction. Okay, yeah. So they are kind of like a figure it out. It's a kind of like a some sort of change is actually happened. Means like that the day is actually happened previous day, means like yesterday. Today is a kind of like a different. It's not yesterday. It's a different. Okay, yeah. And they also understand that this is kind of like a somebody time. A time means like that a change. Okay, yeah. At the early humans they kind of like a somebody understand that like there is some sort of thing is actually happened, and that thing is change. What's a change? Okay, a change means like that the kind of like a somebody in summer mangoes are kind of like a something really on the trees, but in that, but only in the summer. In winter or in rainy season, mangoes are not fulfilled with this kind of like some potential. They have some sort of specific period of time. Okay, yeah. As also the human bodies actually grow respect to the some sort of thing, a change is actually happened. So they realize that everything is kind of like a something changing. Means like that every single day is kind of like a different than another day. Okay, yeah. It's a very slightly, but it's a kind of like a something change is actually happened. Okay, yeah. So at the early human they don't really understand how this kind of like a something change, but they kind of like a something try to document that thing that we should supposed to be kind of like a kind of like a create some sort of timestamp, or kind of like a something stuff that like that changes actually happened. So we are kind of like a somebody document that when that change happened. And how they did document, they document through stones. Means like that what is actually happened, that early stages of the life, sorry, early stage of the humans, they kind of like a somebody say that when the day started, the shadow of that stick is kind of like a start from here and it end from here. So we are actually considered as a one shadow, or one kind of like a something, one thing. Okay, it's a kind of like at that time there is number is not even exist at that time, but they mention as a kind of like a something one stone. Okay, yeah, it's a stone. Okay, yeah. Then another day is actually happened, they put kind of like a two stone, because like a change is actually happened, the shadow change na, like every day shadow change. Okay, yeah, just slightly, so they put another stone. They kind of like a doing this thing for kind of like a something month, and they realize that every day is a kind of like a something really a change. Every day is kind of like a something change. Okay, and they are doing this thing for almost like an entire year. And after a year they realize that they are arrive at particular time that they started. What do you mean by that? So basically let me tell you one thing in the modern physics. Okay, yeah. Like a earth is kind of like a something following not exactly the circle, not exactly kind of like a revolve around the sun, is not exactly the circle, no. It kind of like a slightly bended, means like that the center of our orbit regarding about rotating around the sun is not exactly the circle, no. It's a kind of like a something the center, like a, at sometimes we are bitterly close to the sun, at sometimes we are somewhat kind of like a far away from sun. Okay, yeah. So this is kind of like a something the difference between is actually happened, like a sometimes we are bitterly close and sometimes we are bitterly far away from the sun. This kind of like a something things is actually happened, like a this, because of this thing we are kind of like a differentiate the shadows on that particular stick. Okay, yeah. And basically that cycle like means like that after 365 days, that shadows is kind of like a resetting from the beginning, means like that ki beginning means like that from day one, means like that ki the day when the shadow is actually exist, after 365 days this shadow is actually created. During the 365 days the shadow will not come at that point. Okay, yeah, so they understand that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that key like this is kind of like after the 365 stones, means like they kind of like consider as a stone, they it start over. Okay, yeah, it start from the beginning. Okay, so they realize that ki there is a, some sort of kind of like a things is actually happened in kind of like a universe, that after this particular stone it change. Okay, yeah, it not only change, it start from the beginning. Okay, yeah. So they are kind of like understand that ki we have to be put that thing in some sort of understanding a number. So at the early human, they are kind of like a create this kind of like a assembly technology. At that time, it's not even technology, but it's a kind of like assembly technology. And whatever they actually think is actually happened, means like that ki in that particular city when there is things is actually happened, and that thing should supposed to be document in their kind of like a something like books or somewhere. So they are kind of like a document this thing that ki at 30 stone, means like that ki 30 stone means like that a 30 a kind of like a something, there are number of like a 30, I don't know, at that time 30 was not even the number was exist, but they kind of like a say that ki a stone, okay, like basically a couple of stones are like put 30 stones, like they actually put as a kind of like a somebody one line, and they kind of like like they didn't really kind of like a count as a 30 like a 30, no, they kind of like a put the one line, 1 1 1, and they are kind of like a repeat that line into the 30, so that is called kind of like a something 30. Okay, there is not like a 30, no, it's a kind of like a 1, like a 30 times 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. Okay, if I'm gonna say day 2, that means like a 1, like a 1 1. Okay, if I'm gonna say day 28, means like that 1 1 1 1 1 1 till 28. So that this is why they are kind of like a documenting that event. Okay, and this is what kind of like a something time is started, because why does they kind of like a started documenting things, because it's really essential. Because of that key, there is some sort of event is actually happened during the entire day or night or any kind of like a something, that they have to document that particular thing. So they are kind of like a do it this then like a kind of like a put that one thing, and they are document that thing. Okay, and since then this kind of like a time is started, this since then like a human arbitrarily associate with the time, because it's really essential. Because like let me tell you one thing na, human doesn't really require any kind of like a some time, nothing really at all. Yeah, it just nothing at all. But it's just like that when they kind of like a something document their stuff, or when they want to talk about their histories and stuff like that, and if they want kind of like a something very precise moment that thing is actually happened, they are kind of like using this shadow technique. Okay, yeah, I'm not really sure about the information that I told you is correctly right or not. Why? Because it's like that ki I just heard, okay, from YouTube, or I watch couple of videos in this stuff and stuff, and I just kind of like somebody find out that this might gonna something is happened. Okay, yeah, but it's really good. It's something that ki this is what kind of like a something humans are associated with the time. Okay, yeah, like a concept of time shape the human understanding of existence. Well, yeah, like a like if like since then na, the time is actually started differently na, like we are not using the stone, we are not using the shadow, we are kind of like a using the time with very different way, like a days and things and that in modern world time are kind of like a something that very essential thing. Okay, yeah, because right now like at early stage of the humans, time was not even exist at that time, but it's a very essential, but they don't really knew it. Okay, yeah, but still then it's not even really essential, because the very elite people are really required that particular time. A normal human don't really require that. Okay, yeah, like what is actually time? Okay, yeah, first of all, for the normal human, we only kind of like a utilizing a time to understanding from light and dark. means like that कि we have to go hunting when there is a light. We won't be able to do hunting during the dark. Why? Because it's really dangerous, right? Yeah. So at during the night we should supposed to be protect ourselves, and during the day we should supposed to be find our food. Okay, yeah. So basically they kind of like somebody understand that ki if we wanted to some sort of work, or if we wanted to do some sort of survive, we have to be do your work during the day, and we have to be sleep during the night, because sleep is really essential thing that human does. And basically is this thing during the night they also get the sleep, because not only they are protecting themselves, but they are kind of like a stay at one point where things are protected, like in the cave or things like that. So yeah, this is kind of like some of this stuff is actually happened. And then like this is what kind of like some normal humans are realize that ki ha. But I don't know, yeah, dude. It's like that, na ki I think I'm not really understand the point of that. Ki how does like a it's really essential, na like at the beginning we don't really understand the essential of the time, but right now in this world, in this modern world, everything is actually depend on time. The things is actually happened was kind of like something so crazy that that we won't be able to comprehend the information regarding about like importance of the time. It's a in today's world is really essential, and in the future it might get even more essential. Okay, yeah, more than food and shelter and things like that. Okay, yeah. So yes, this is my think regarding about how does it kind of like a something time shape the human understanding, probably. Yeah, right. And by the way, the information that I told you in this artifact, I am not really sure is it right or wrong. I'm just kind of like a guessing that thing might happen. All right, yeah. So this is it, this then, and thank you.